Hello, a Facebook Live. I'm singing. Who knew I was in that kind of mood? Lindsay Price here with my cohort, Craig Mason.
Hello there.
And we are today talking about this month's feature play. We've been featuring plays on Theatre Folk plays, of course. And this month we have Betweenity, which just happens to be my play. So instead of doing an interview with the playwright, we're doing Facebook Live, and I'm going to talk about it. And Craig's going to ask me questions. He actually got all prepared. He's got questions, and
I have a couple of questions.
He's a couple of questions. So this is a vignette. Betweenity is a vignette play, so that means it is short scenes based on a theme. It is a great ensemble piece. So it's something that everybody can have their own scene, or you can have a smaller cast, and there are doublings that can happen. And
let me start. So your vignette plays always center around a theme.
They do.
So This Phone Will Explode of the Tone is focuses on communication. Wait, Bow Bait focuses on waiting. And this play focuses on what?
The pause.
The pause.
And the length of pause, what is said in a pause, what is not said in a pause, and just how you can explore silence in a scene.
So let me ask you this. So I know the big cliche question you always get is what inspired you to write this play, but this play is so, to me it's so specific, and it seems like you're really trying to achieve something when you wrote this. Do you recall an incident that inspired you to write this play, or what brought you to write about this topic?
I'm going to say now it's been 5 years, so I can't pinpoint an incident, but I'll tell you because it's one of the things that I see quite often when I go and see productions of my plays is that I will write a pause or a beat into a scene, and I can tell that they're just being glanced over, and that silences on stage seem to bother students a lot. That it's like, well, if we're not talking, what are we doing? Mm. And I like things like that where, there's something like that where it's like I notice something. Observation is my number one place where I find play ideas. So to observe what's happening with my own work in other situations, I'm just feeding off myself, I guess, in terms of finding play ideas. But I know it was such fun to write this play because it's fun to play with the absence of words. We think that of playwriting as being a verbal medium, when in actual fact that theater is a visual medium.
I forget who said it, but I know someone famous, someone way more famous than me, said that music is the space between the notes. I know it's old.
See?
It's an old saying. I don't know.
Well, I mean, acting is certainly acting. There's lots that can happen
in the space between the words.
In the space between the words, and what is happening in between. And also, there's that notion of in a conversation where you have an awkward pause. There's what's happening in between the words, and also the notion of what's not being said. That's another facet of what's being explored in this play, because there's so many times where you're having a conversation with someone and they're purposely not answering, right? And what is happening in that silence, or a girl who's trying to get a boy to say the words "I like you," and that's not happening, or a boy is trying to ask out a girl and he's saying all the wrong things, or there's the awkward silences, there's the peaceful silences. There's a lot of times where there is peace in sitting with someone and not saying anything.
Do you consider this? Do you consider this to be an instructional tool, a play, a blending of both?
No.
Where do you see this fitting most, on the stage or in the classroom?
Oh, what an excellent question. I think it's a great classroom piece. Mm-hmm. I think that the scenes are awesome because they are applying a skill. Knowing how to apply act in a pause, act when there isn't dialogue, to stay in character, to have an internal monologue going on and be able to show that. That's a skill, and that's something that you can really apply in the classroom. Having said that, I think this is, when we were looking at it again for this month, I purposely chose Betweenity as the vignette play that I wanted to feature. I think that as an overall piece of theater in this style, showcasing an ensemble, I think it's one of my favorites. I think I might have to go out there and say it's my favorite. It's hard because there are lots of other pieces of vignette plays that I love. I think the burrito scene in Snow Show is, I adore that scene and those characters. When I'm thinking about a piece as a whole, and I'm thinking about the way that the ensemble you keep coming, that the play keeps coming back to the ensemble, and there's a very poetic quality as they talk about what's going on in how do we communicate. It's all about communication, right? Theater, that's the other thing that theater is. Theater is communication. And how do we visualize communication? We don't talk, and we have to use body language. We have to act. It's easy if you've got nothing to say to sort of drop your character. I've seen tons of plays where my favorite thing is to just sort of watch, if something is happening over here, to watch the ensemble over here, and it's like, who's engaged, who's really trying to get to their phone, who is just completely checked out. And I think that this is that practicing that acting in when you don't have anything to say is it's a great acting experience. So to answer your question, I think it's both. I think I'm gonna have to say it's both, because I think as a theatrical experience, I think it's really lovely. I love what there's some of my favorite sentences in this play. Let me say one, because when I was looking through here, that I cut this one. It's just the whole notion that words are noise, words are dust. How many people have thousands of words when they have absolutely nothing to say? Don't you know it's the silence where we say the most? See, that's the other thing. You know this about me, but one of my huge pet peeves is people who talk and have nothing to say. And they talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And I'm in my head, I'm like, please let me go. Please stop talking to me.
I mean, you did that beautifully in TikTok. TikTok is a play where all the characters basically have one word, their character name, that they speak throughout the play, and they communicate all their scenes and dialogue generally through one or two words or a short phrase. And then you have one character named Gabby, and Gabby does nothing but talk in this massive stream of consciousness, but she actually never really says anything of substance in the entire play.
No, and I think what happens here too is that sometimes characters are so forced into silence that when they say something, they say it just, things come out of their mouth that they wouldn't necessarily normally say, and that's great for character development, right? There's one scene, one quite long scene between three friends who are fundraising, and they're fundraising for three different things. One is guess the jelly beans in a jar, one is buying raffle tickets, and one's walkathon. And two of them, none of them are really talking to each other, and it takes a long time to figure out why. And two of them are quite, there's animosity between them. And the third one is just trying to get everybody to talk. So at one point, this character just says, "My brother lost his toe in a freak anvil accident last week." That's something new in my life. Not really my life, but my immediate worldview. Something you might not know, seeing how caught up you've both been. I suppose all accidents involving animals are of a freakish nature, but this one was quite unexpected. The toe turned black and just fell right off. Really gross, but fascinating too, in a freakish, unexpected way. Hi, Laura. What is the length of this play and the cast size? Hey, let me tell you. So it is thespian length. So it runs about 30-35 minutes. The great thing about it is because it's a vignette play. So what I usually do with vignette plays is that if you're running a little bit close on time, you can remove a scene in its entirety. And the minimum for the play is 4 women, 4 men, and 4 either, but it is easily expandable because it is a vignette play and can be done. You can have doubling, or you can have everybody getting their own scene. And you can go to, there is a link in the description, depending on where you are. It's on the side. And
it'll take you right to the page on our website where you can actually read most of the script for
you get
free.
sample pages.
So pauses.
Yes.
You specifically list pauses in the script in 3 different ways.
I do.
You have a pause,
Yes.
which is like a short
3 seconds.
3 seconds. You have a beat. Beat's the shortest.
1 second.
Then you have a pause.
3 seconds.
And then you have the super scary, when I read it with an actor's eye, you have the super scary count 2.
Count 2.
And just as I was preparing for this, I was scanning, and the biggest one I found was a 20. So you actually have actors counting to 20 on stage without saying anything.
I think that's the longest one. And I think when I was writing it, I think I wanted it to be 30. And I think the original production, I think they just went.
You cut them some slack, or you gave
slack.
So what? How as a writer, how was it that you were determining which was going to be a beat, which was going to be a pause, which was going to be a count 2? What types of moments were you considering for those different things?
Yeah, it all depends on the moment. It all depends on what's happening in the scene and who they're responding to, and sometimes I very purposely wanted it to go longer. Hi, Brian, hey, any of you who are watching, if you've got questions about this play, Betweenity, or since you have Greg and I right here, if there's questions about other plays, since we've done very good chatting about this, but we can answer.
I have more questions.
I know, we're good.
I still haven't got an answer to my last one.
Yes. Okay, so and sometimes I really want it to be uncomfortably long, and sometimes I wanted it to be long because there's nothing to say. There's a scene where a girl it's obvious that someone has died, and a boy comes down and sits beside her, and they say hello, and they talk about the flowers. They were her favorite, and they sit for 20 seconds, and nobody says anything. And in the end, she says, "Thank you. Thank you for not saying it'll be okay. Thank you for not talking." And that was really important to me. I think that might have been one of the first scenes I wrote, because I knew that I wanted a scene where it was peaceful, that there was silence.
Yeah, because a lot of the silences in the plays are awkward and uncomfortable. So it's good to have. Well, and I mean that tends to be the impetus behind a lot of silence, doesn't it?
Yes. Well, because sometimes it's just a breath that somebody needs to take, and sometimes it's a pause because somebody else is speaking. There's that too. And sometimes it's just that 3 seconds, it's long enough. It's amazing how long 3 seconds can be for some actors. Mm-hmm. Just taking a second to let something sink in. There's one of the monologues where there's a guy who's trying to ask out a girl and says all the wrong things.
Yes.
I think he actually talks about dead and showering.
Yes, he talks about her smell.
Yes, he talked about. Yes, I can.
You read the whole. You're not going to read the whole.
No, I'm not going to read the whole thing. But yeah, he talks about this. Here's a good example of a pause that he stopped because he's just talked too much. But he's talking about. All of a sudden, he gets into a conversation about a thing in his head about death and about how we're all going to die. We can eat and prevent death, the starvation kind of death. And there is that very specifically a pause in the middle of that sentence, the starvation kind of death. As he's starting to, as his brain is catching up with his mouth. And a great way to show that is a pause, right? A great way to show that he's started to realize that awful things are coming out of his mouth. Instead of just saying, "Oh, awful things are coming out of my mouth," instead of telling us what his inner workings are, a pause will do the same thing.
So in the pauses,
yes,
you never give the action in the pauses. You never explain why those pauses are there and why they are the length that they are. What advice would you give to an actor and a director working on this piece for discovering those moments? I mean, because that's a rehearsal discovery. It's finding out what's going on. But right. I'm thinking you have a 10-second pause. What What
Yeah.
what can you offer them to use as a tool for rehearsing?
Write it out. Write out what's going on. What's the inner monologue,
Mm.
and just it's a great opportunity for character development, so that you know exactly who this character is because you are coming up with their inner thoughts, right? It's not something that you say out loud, but you need something to think. We've been watching the Handmaid's Tale, and at the beginning of the Handmaid's Tale, in the first couple of episodes, there's a lot of voiceover, and there's a lot of inner monologue narration. And I read an interview where the director was so amazed that when they were filming Elizabeth Moss, when she was silent, right? So it's just the inner monologue that we hear in a voiceover, and they're just filming her. The director was amazed that it was working out perfectly. And Elizabeth Moss went, well, of course it is. I memorized the inner monologue, and I'm saying it in my head. So what you're seeing is me thinking. And that's exactly the kind of thing. I haven't given you the inner monologue for these characters, but that's something that you can come up with on your own. That's something that is an excellent rehearsal tool, an excellent rehearsal exercise, is exactly to come up with what are the thoughts in your head and to think those thoughts when you're on stage.
Yeah, and that's also a really good tool for even scenes where there is dialogue. If you're in a two-person scene and the one person is monologuing at you, you have to write out your own inner monologue to how you're reacting to what's being fed to you, right? I mean,
yeah.
that's I guess it's no different than any other play, except you're giving the entirety of the stage the pause rather than just all but one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody's got it.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot. We were out walking just before this, and I turned to Lindsay. I said, "I've got one question I can't wait to ask." Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. You ready? We are going to sit here and pause and not speak until you find it really uncomfortable not to be saying anything on Facebook while people are watching you on Facebook.
While people are watching Facebook?
Yes.
Well, nobody's watching. It's fine. All right. Okay.
Okay. How long can you go?
How long can you go?
Okay. Go.
Okay, what were you thinking?
Me?
Yeah.
I was actually kind of focused on you. I was wondering how long you would let this go, and then I was actually my internal monologue was, "She is so stubborn that she will not." Like I figured you were taking this like a staring contest. You know what I mean? Like there was no way you were gonna blink first.
Unfortunately, I was thinking.
What was your internal monologue?
My internal monologue was, "I am slowly going crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which crazy going." Anyway, however, I was going to stop because it's not just me. So it's not me being stubborn. All right. So. How's that? How's your
I got one more. I got one more.
One more question.
One
yes,
more.
Sir.
I when I look at this play, I think of it as more of a slightly more advanced play. How would you look at this in terms of beginners, advanced, intermediate?
I would think it's more advanced because you are certainly asking more of a student than blocking and some character development and some lines. You are asking them to take that extra step and act in a pause. There's also there's ensemble stuff that is a little bit more, it's more musical, like, not musical, rhythmic, that's a better way of putting it, and that requires much coordination because there are silences that have to happen, there's snaps that have to happen, there's sounds that take place of words, so that there's actually a physicalization of the pause in a number of ensemble moments, and those need to be quite coordinated. So that takes a little bit of it's ensemble work, man. It's all ensemble.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty challenging piece, actually.
Yeah. All right. So this has been our feature play of the month, Betweenity, which is a vignette play, about 30 minutes. 4 men, 4 women, 4 either, easily expendable. You can go to the link in the description, and you can go to the sample pages, and you can read quite a big chunk of this play to get a sense and see what it's all about. As I said, I think that if I had to choose one, well, I did choose one, that just in terms of an ensemble play that is I guess they're all my children, so it's hard to choose your favorite. But just what is a piece that really comes together as a whole, really works as scene work, really has an element of skill to it. This is it. This is it. All right. Well, thank you. You were joining me. It was nice having someone to talk to.
It was. So you're not just talking into the ether?
That I'm not just talking to myself. Which is fine. I'm...
Well, you do it all day anyway.
I do it all day anyway. I might as well do it in front of a camera. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for this Facebook Live, and have a great night.